Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's blunt reality check, do me a favor. If you're tired of fluffy, surface level mindset advice and want to talk straight on how to actually claim your personal power, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you never miss a training when it drops. Now let's go ahead and talk about a massive lie that the self-help world is feeding you. Sure, you've read the books, you've seen the social media infographics. You've undoubtedly learned the script. And at some point, you've probably walked up to someone in your life, whether it was a partner, a parent, a boss, a friend, and you finally summoned the courage to look them in the eye and say, no, I'm setting a boundary. Stop that. And what happened? They blew right past it. They laughed. They argued. They got defensive. Or they completely ignored you. And then you walk away feeling empty, angry, exhausted, and deeply resentful. And you probably sat there thinking, see, boundaries don't work for me. In my world, people just don't care. And here is the truth bomb that you need to hear today. Your boundaries didn't fail. You actually didn't set a boundary. What you did was issue a request. You handed them a wish list of how you hoped they would behave going forward. And then you gave away all of your power by waiting to see if they would grant your wish. But today, we're stripping away the fake hacks. We're going to talk about what a real boundary looks like and why the world is completely lacking them right now, and how exactly to formulate a boundary that is literally impossible for someone else to cross. Because this time, it relies entirely on your inner power and not their cooperation. Let's define the difference first, right now, because confusing these two is exactly why you're feeling emotionally depleted. A request is about you trying to control their actions. A boundary is about controlling your actions. When you say, stop talking to me like that, or you need to respect my time and stop showing up late, or even don't text me after 9 p.m., those are requests. You're asking them to change. You're putting the responsibility on their shoulders to fix how you feel. And let's be honest, if they had the emotional intelligence to respect your time, your space, or your feelings in the first place, you wouldn't have to be screaming for a boundary right now. You're asking the person who created the chaos to suddenly become the gatekeeper of your peace. And that makes absolutely no sense. A real boundary doesn't require the other person to understand it, to agree with it, or even to validate it. A real boundary doesn't care if they get mad. And why is that? Because a real boundary is a rule you set for yourself. It's the blueprint of what you are willing to accept for yourself and what you will do when a line is crossed. Let's take a look at a formula of what a boundary would look like. It follows a really simple structure. If you do X, I'm going to respond by doing Y. Do you notice the shift in control there? What you aren't saying is you can't do X. People have free will. They can yell. They can be late. They can text you at midnight. You cannot control their bad behavior. But a boundary says, the moment that you choose to do that, here is the immediate action I am taking to protect my energy. So the request looks like this. Stop yelling at me. They keep yelling at you. You keep crying. You lose. Whereas a boundary says, if you continue to raise your voice at me, I am hanging up this phone. Or if you yell at me, I am walking out of this room. You are in control. You are removing yourself from the situation. Do you see the difference? If they break a boundary, they triggered your next move. What you don't do is stand there arguing with them. You don't wait for them to apologize. You just hang up the phone or you walk out of the room and stand your own ground. So if this formula is so simple, why don't people do it more often? Why does it feel like the world is completely lacking boundaries right now? Because holding a real boundary requires people to face adversity. And most people are terrified of discomfort. And quite frankly, when you issue a fake boundary, it's a request and it's still safe. You get to play victim. You get to say, well, I told them how I felt and they just didn't listen to me. Look what they did to me. It feels comfortable to complain. It takes the pressure off of you. But when you set a real boundary, the spotlight turns directly on you. Because here's the difference. If you say, if you raise your voice, I am hanging up, and then they test it and they raise their voice, you actually have to hang up the phone. And that's where that inherent panic sets in. That's where that inherent people pleasing kicks in. We go into overdrive, and then your brain starts screaming, what if they get mad at me? What if they think I'm a bad person? This causes us to avoid the short-term friction of actually having to hold the line. And instead, we choose the long-term, slow-burning poison of resentment. Look, if you're sitting there realizing that you have a pattern of faking boundaries because you're terrified of that confrontation, I want you to know that you do not have to figure out how to untangle this alone. This is exactly why I founded the Inner Power Collective on School. It's a dedicated private community where we don't just talk about these concepts. We actually practice them. I host exclusive deep dive trainings, have interactive worksheets, and live coaching sessions inside the classroom just for you. This is all to help you, step by step, build the emotional intelligence and the resiliency needed to handle your situation. And every situation is unique. Now, if you're ready to stop watching all of the videos and start actually transforming your life with a whole entire community of people who are doing the exact same thing, please click the link tree down in the description below and join us in the Inner Power Collective on School today. Now, once you do this and start seeing and setting real boundaries, here's a guarantee I will give you today as a coach. I want you to write this down and memorize it. The real people who get the angriest when you start setting boundaries are the exact people who were profiting from you not having any. And when you start changing the rules of the game, the people who were winning are going to throw a tantrum. They're going to call you selfish. They're going to try to guilt trip you, gaslight you, and push against that new wall to see if it's solid or if it's made of cardboard. And this, my friend, is where true resiliency is born. Resiliency, it's a muscle that's built exclusively from surviving the discomfort of holding your ground. Because at first, when you hang up that phone or you walk out of that room, your nervous system is going to scream. You're going to feel a wave of intense guilt. Now, don't get it wrong. That guilt is not telling you that you've done something wrong. That guilt is the old, codependent version of you trying to crawl back into your comfort zone. But your emotional intelligence, it tells you that you need to sit in that fire. It means looking at that anxiety and saying, I see you, I feel you, but I'm not folding. You have to be willing to be the villain in someone else's distorted story if it means being the hero of your own reality. And if you can't handle or tolerate the discomfort of someone else being temporarily upset with you, your peace will always be up for sale by the highest bidder. So listen, as we wrap up here today, I want to give you an action. I want to leave you with something I'd like you to do right now to set up an audit of your own personal life. I want you to think about and consider for a moment one relationship, one situation in your life that is draining you right now. And then I want you to ask yourself a question. Am I setting a boundary, or am I just begging for a change? And please stop waiting for them to finally get it, because they've already shown you who they are every time they don't honor a boundary of yours. And now it's time for you to show them exactly who you are. So take a moment and formulate your, if you do X, I will do Y line today. And honestly, just for you, if you want my eyes on your personal boundary, your formula to make sure that it's bulletproof for you before you go ahead and try to execute it, come drop it inside of our community school discussion boards. And again, the link to the Inner Power Collective will be in the description box below. Come join us today and let us help you take full power of your life back. And as always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, please, and then share it with one other person in your life who you think desperately needs help to stop faking their boundaries. And as always, my friends, stay unshakable. Keep grounding yourself in reality, and I will see you in the collective. And until then, we'll see you in the next video.